I picked up a child. He claimed to be my son from 5 years in the future. He took over my big bed and ruined my blind date. He also insisted I take him to find his biological father, Johnny. Until one day, I heard him secretly call Johnny. "Uncle, when are you finally going to win Auntie over? My kindergarten is starting soon, I really don't have time to play around with you anymore." I found Timmy at the entrance of our neighborhood. He was wearing a mini-sized 3-piece suit, with a bow tie and his hair neatly combed back. He had a stern face, like a little adult. Amused, I took an extra look. Unexpectedly, the child ran straight towards me. His small hands were knocking and pushing, and his voice carried a complaining whine. "Mommy, where did you go?" I was dumbfounded. "Little friend, you've got the wrong person. I don't know you. I'm looking for you, Joanna." The child claimed to have traveled from 5 years in the future. He had just turned 4 this month. Mommy and I were playing on the slide in the neighborhood, and then Mommy disappeared, and then Timmy was here. The child's eyes flickered with confusion. "Where is this?" At first, I didn't believe him. But I never expected Timmy to actually know all my information. Mommy is a blood type, Aries, INTP personality. Allergic to peanuts, hates eating green leafy vegetables and mushrooms the most. You have a bad neck and shoulders, and Daddy even specially learned massage for you. Outwardly cold, but actually a crybaby, needs Daddy's kiss every day to get out of bed. Hearing the last part, I twitched my mouth. Enough, that's enough. I wanted to ask something else, but the child rubbed his eyes and tugged at my hand. "Mommy, I'm tired. Let's go home first." "Wait a moment, one last question. Who's your dad?" "Johnny." "Who?" I froze for a few seconds, frowned, and pulled out my phone's photo album. "The person you're talking about, it couldn't be him, could it?" The child nodded his head like a pecking chick. "Yes, yes." "Mommy, what's wrong? Don't you even recognize your own husband?" "I do know Johnny. Not only do I know him, but we're very close. Johnny is simply my ex-boyfriend. Johnny was my senior, and for me, it was love at first sight. I had just started university at the time. At the freshman welcoming party, Johnny gave a speech as the student union president. His cool and reserved demeanor instantly captivated everyone. A senior saw my doting gaze and teased, "Junior, don't tell me you're smitten with him. Johnny is our campus heartthrob, known as an untouchable high mountain flower, never getting close to women." But I didn't believe in superstitions. When he gave a speech, I applauded from the audience. When he played basketball, I was there to hand him water. After relentlessly pursuing him for 3 months, he finally agreed to my advances. However, after we had been together for a while, I discovered that he was indeed too cold-hearted. He never initiated a date with me. Each time, I stood alone downstairs at the men's dormitory, waiting for him to come down. He never actively held my hand, and even that passionate, confused kiss only happened when Johnny was drunk after a dinner gathering. I still remember that day. Johnny's kiss was intense. He had never looked at me like that before, his eyes filled with a burning love. His dense kisses, like a fine net, moved from my nose bridge to my lips, making me mistakenly believe he liked me. However, just when I thought something was about to happen, he suddenly pushed me away. Johnny panted slightly, his voice low. "We're not married yet, it's not quite right." My face flushed crimson. "I don't mind. But I do." Those 4 words were like a 1,000-pound hammer, shattering all my self-deception. At that moment, I was so embarrassed I wanted to crawl into a crack in the ground, yet he seemed oblivious to my emotions, adjusting my slipping clothes. "Let's talk about it after graduation." However, I didn't have the courage to wait until graduation and proactively broke up with him. At first, I thought he'd be happy to end this overly one-sided relationship. But to my surprise, he didn't agree. Reason: I bluffed. "I'm pregnant." This terrible idea was suggested by my best friend, Kathy. The next second, I saw a look of near horror on Johnny's face. "What?" "But we..." "Exactly, we didn't, so the child isn't yours." Saying that, I pulled out the pregnancy test result my best friend had prepared for me. The man fell completely silent. "Why?" "No reason, I just don't like you anymore." After that day, Johnny indeed never came looking for me. Later, I heard he went abroad. We met again last month. The company appointed a new general manager. I saw the man I hadn't seen in years. His already cold eyes had become even more devoid of warmth. Impeccably dressed, he exuded an elite aloofness. When he appeared, all the girls buzzed with excitement. Is Johnny the company's welfare package for women? But they soon realized that his good looks were his greatest deception. Johnny's personality was cold and sharp-tongued, and his work demands were almost demanding. Someone asked me that day, I heard Johnny went to the same university as you for his undergrad. Did you two know each other? I immediately denied it, no. Right, I've never seen you two talk. What a shame, I was going to try to find out if he has a girlfriend. My colleague sighed, it feels like Johnny's face has no romance at all, only a strong desire for his career. He probably acts just as serious in a relationship, what a waste of such a handsome face. At that moment, I wanted to say that he was indeed that serious. But I kept quiet. Years had passed, and I no longer wanted any involvement with Johnny. But I didn't expect a son to suddenly appear. I hadn't even had time to process the overwhelming information. The phone suddenly rang. I glanced at the screen, it was an unfamiliar number. Without thinking, I answered, and a deep voice came from the other end. This is Johnny. Time seemed to stand still at that moment. I suddenly realized this was Johnny's first time contacting me since we re-met. He didn't acknowledge my silence and asked, was the proposal from your team this morning done by you? A few data points are problematic, please double-check them. Hearing this, I instinctively looked at the little one beside me. I stammered, can it be later? It's not convenient for me right now. His tone on the other end was clearly impatient. Joanna, have you still not understood the situation? We are no longer in a romantic relationship, just ordinary superior and subordinate. This is an announcement, not a diss. Daddy, is that you, Daddy? Before he could finish, Timmy, beside me, got anxious. He leaned towards my phone and shouted, Daddy, Daddy, I'm Timmy. When are you coming home? Mommy and I miss you so much. A strange silence fell on the other end of the phone. Who's with you? I had no idea how to explain, so I bit the bullet and said, my son, you knew about my pregnancy before, didn't you? The call was abruptly ended. Listening to the dial tone, I blinked. Do I not have to work overtime now? Although picking up a child was too absurd, I still took him home. I planned to get a paternity test before making any decisions. That night, Timmy lay in bed. Covered by the quilt, only a pair of round eyes peeked out. He asked me, Mom, why isn't Dad home yet? He went on a business trip. Lend me your phone, I want to video call Dad. No. Why not? Your dad's phone fell into the toilet. After I said that, Timmy fell silent. After a long while, he finally spoke, Mom, are you treating me like a 3-year-old? Actually, I know you and Dad had a fight, right? My heart tightened. Timmy pouted, Dad said you two broke up once 5 years ago. Is it like that again now? Mom, why did you break up with Dad? You're going to get married eventually anyway, can't you just make up quickly? I opened my mouth, unsure how to explain it to a child. I could only reach out and stroke Timmy's hair, softly replying, we'll see. Thankfully, despite his intelligence, Timmy was still a child. After playing with him for a while, the child quickly forgot about it. Only after coaxing him to sleep did I completely relax. But then I fell into a new problem. Tomorrow is the weekend, so I can still manage. What about Timmy after I go to work on Monday? I can't possibly confess to my parents that I suddenly have an extra child. As I was thinking, something suddenly lit up under the bed. I picked it up curiously, only to find it was a little Genius watch. It must have accidentally fallen out of Timmy's small backpack. Just as I was about to put it away for him, I accidentally tapped on a chat interface. Mission failed today, couldn't ask about the reason for the breakup. Andy smells nice and is very gentle. Timmy also likes Auntie very much. Uncle, when are you going to start pursuing Auntie? My kindergarten is starting soon, I really don't have time to mess around with you. The bottom 2 lines were the other party's replies. If you say more good things about me, I can catch her faster. Be a good boy and don't cause trouble for your auntie. I clicked on the contact card for Uncle. The avatar was identical to Johnny's. I repeatedly checked the information on it, finally confirming it was indeed Johnny. It turns out, people do laugh when they're speechless. I never thought Johnny would be this boring. Originally, I wanted to call Johnny directly, scold him thoroughly, and then package him and Timmy up and send them away together. But then I thought that would be letting him off too easily. After a moment of thought, I put Timmy's smart watch back in its original place and sent a message to my best friend, Kathy. Do you still remember Johnny? I remember, your scumbag first love, why are you bringing him up suddenly? I then told her about Johnny being transferred to become my general manager, and about Timmy. She immediately blew up on the other end. Is Johnny out of his mind? Pretending the child time traveled? He must have read too many novels and genuinely thinks he's some domineering CEO. Wait, could it be that he still has feelings for you and doesn't know how to pursue you, so he's deliberately using this tactic? Although it sounded absurd, I actually felt in my heart that it was highly possible. I grumbled, who knows what he means. So what are you thinking? Now? You're not going to get back together with him, are you? I frowned, I have no such intention. That's good. Kathy thought of something and chuckled twice, I have a plan. Kathy's plan was to ask her cousin to pretend to be my boyfriend. My cousin, Mike, is an undergraduate in performing arts, professionally trained. He's incredibly handsome, has a great physique, has starred in many melodramatic short dramas, so he's very experienced. He's best at pretending to be naive and then striking back. I'll have him find you tomorrow. Then you just act like you know nothing, and take the little spy out to play. He'll definitely tip off Johnny. When Johnny shows up, we'll use youthful, handsome bodies to thoroughly crush that old man's face and show him what an age gap means. The next day, Mike and I met at the zoo. Upon hearing we were going to the zoo, Timmy was unusually excited. Really? Is it a place with lions, tigers, and giant pandas? Timmy wants to go. Timmy has never been before. I found it a bit strange. I vaguely remembered Johnny mentioning his brother, who was a chief mate. Although he didn't come back often, it seemed unlikely that a 4-year-old child had never been taken to the zoo. But Timmy's happy expression didn't seem faked. During dinner, the child stealthily went to the restroom. Soon, Timmy's excited voice came from inside, Uncle, I'm going to the zoo. It's the zoo. At that volume, I had every reason to suspect the child never intended to keep it a secret from me. When I took Timmy to the zoo, Mike was already waiting at the entrance. The tall, handsome boy waved at me. Timmy looked confused. Mommy, who is he? He's Mommy's boyfriend. What? I bit the bullet and said, last night you were curious why I broke up with your dad, right? The reason is because Mommy fell in love. Before Timmy could respond, an even more exaggerated voice suddenly came from beside us. What did you say? Turning around, Johnny had arrived, I didn't know when. He was wearing a gray shirt with black casual pants. It was clear he had come uninvited after receiving some intelligence. Timmy seemed to see a savior and immediately rushed over. Uncle. Dad, you finally showed up. As Timmy rushed over, Johnny's body reacted first, catching the child directly. Only when holding him did he realize something, then he put the child down. Whose child is this, recognizing a dad randomly? I pursed my lips and deliberately asked him, Johnny, what are you doing here? To cross-reference some information with you, I contacted you last night. I never expected him to use that excuse, frowning, what kind of work is so urgent? Yes, the work was urgent, but it seems less urgent than the situation at hand. He looked at me and raised an eyebrow, is this your child? Why is he calling me Dad? Before I could answer, Timmy readily replied for me, hello, Dad. I'm your and Joanna's son, who traveled here from 5 years in the future. Pfft, I didn't say anything, but my big cousin couldn't help but laugh. He quickly waved his hand, sorry, it just felt a bit melodramatic, you guys continue. Johnny frowned, are you saying you don't believe him? No, I absolutely don't mean that. Then why aren't you leaving? Our family of 3 is reuniting, what are you doing here? 5 years from now isn't now. Right now, Jenny is still my girlfriend. Didn't you understand? You two will break up. It doesn't matter, I only care about having had it. With their back and forth, I couldn't help but applaud. My big cousin is indeed someone who has acted in short dramas and seen big scenes, his mental fortitude is truly impressive. Johnny fell silent. In the silence, a small hand tugged at my hem. Mommy, can Timmy still see pandas today? Actually, I don't have to have Daddy. Can they argue out here, and we go in first? And then I took him inside. Until I got home, I still didn't understand. How did I end up bringing Timmy back again? That evening, my best friend called me, exasperated. So what you're saying is, not only did you not get rid of the little guy today, you actually brought him back? He fell asleep on the way. I really underestimated Johnny's tactics. He just exploited your kindness. How despicable. I also hesitated. Timmy is quite sensible. He really doesn't seem like the kind of bad kid who lies habitually. Just as I was speaking, the doorbell rang. Afraid of disturbing Timmy's sleep, I hastily ended the call and rushed to open the door. By the time I saw Johnny outside with a suitcase and tried to close the door, it was too late. Why are you here? I think we need to talk about Timmy. Don't you agree, future wife? I completely didn't expect Johnny to visit directly. He must have washed up beforehand, as he was wearing a casual loungewear set. A small suitcase was also placed beside him. Today Timmy said we are his future parents. What do you think? His words made me laugh. What do I think? Don't you know yourself? I believe him. Such a resolute demeanor, if I hadn't seen their chat history beforehand, would have truly believed him. Whether it's true or not, we'll know once the paternity test results are out. Paternity test? Johnny frowned. Is it necessary? Timmy looks so much like me, he's clearly my son. Alright, then why don't you take your son home now? Johnny paused for a moment, then said, a test is fine, but I insist that we live together as a family until the results are out, to minimize any adverse effects of time and space on the child. Just as I was about to speak, Timmy ran out from who knows where. Rubbing his eyes, is Daddy here? Mommy, can Daddy come in and sleep with me? Saying that, he rubbed his two chubby hands in front of his chest. Please, just for tonight, for my sake. In the end, I relented. Just this once. As the bedroom door closed, I distinctly heard Johnny say thanks. Timmy sighed, you're welcome. The next morning when I woke up, Johnny and Timmy were already up. The two of them were sitting at the dining table, with a hot breakfast laid out. Timmy waved at me, Mommy, come quickly, Daddy made porridge. Only then did I notice that Timmy had changed clothes. He was wearing the same dark gray jacket as Johnny, with a cute little bear embroidered on the upper right corner. You're not planning to take him to work today, are you? That's the plan for now. Anyway, the office has a lounge, so the child can stay there at the company. Don't worry, I've discussed it with Timmy. Considering your personal reputation, we'll temporarily keep our relationship a secret. There was no relationship to begin with. I didn't say a word, just waiting to see how he would argue once the test results came out. Originally, I planned to deliver the materials to the appraisal center in the morning. But the company suddenly announced a meeting, and I couldn't get away. Johnny volunteered to help me deliver them. His active attitude made me a bit suspicious. You're not planning to tamper with it, are you? Tampering with appraisal results carries legal responsibility. Johnny's expression looked a little hurt. Is that how you see me? Someone who incites their nephew to pretend to be their son, what kind of person could that be? It was already noon when the meeting finished. As soon as I came out of the conference room, I heard colleagues discussing. Did you see the child Johnny brought? He looks so much like him. Could he be his son? No way, Johnny doesn't even have a girlfriend, does he? Must be a distant relative. Seeing me, someone casually asked, Jenny, do you know anything about it? I immediately denied. How would I know? Before I could finish, the internal line rang. Mr. Johnny's secretary's voice came from the other end. Selena, the general manager would like you to come to his office. He says the little one wants to treat you to lunch. Under the gaze of my colleagues, I walked all the way to Johnny's office. As soon as the door closed, my expression immediately darkened, and my tone carried a hint of annoyance. Who said we should keep it a secret at the company for now? Johnny, are you ever going to stop? Timmy was startled, still holding his fried chicken. Mommy, Daddy ordered McDonald's for me. I want to share it with you. Are you angry? It was like a balloon filled to bursting was suddenly pricked. Timmy's cautious demeanor made me a bit flustered, so I could only say, I'm not angry. Johnny cleared his throat. Since you're here, why not have lunch here? I've prepared lunch for you. Saying that, he took out an exquisite lunchbox from a cabinet nearby. Timmy curiously leaned over, his handsome little face instantly fell. Daddy, you ordered junk food for me, but prepared steak and vegetables for Mommy? I'm still a growing baby, how could you be so cruel? Eating was out of the question. Coming out of the office, a group of people immediately gathered around. Their faces shone with spill the beans gossip expressions. I hadn't even thought of an explanation when a delivery person arrived at the door. Who is Mike's woman? Your delivery is here. At the time, I didn't realize it concerned me. It wasn't until he started reciting my phone number that I reacted. Mike? Kathy's big cousin? Why would he order delivery for me? Thanks to big cousin, I didn't have to explain this time. Jenny, when did you get taken? I didn't even know. Still young people, look how sweet it is to be in love. Yeah, just now Johnny called you to his office. We thought you knew that child. Maybe she just has a way with kids. Jenny is indeed charming, I like her too. Smiling awkwardly, I returned to my desk and sent Kathy a message. Why did your big cousin suddenly order delivery for me? What's going on? I knew that kid suddenly asking me for your company address was to order delivery for you. He probably felt bad about not being able to help you last time. Just eat it, he's not short on money. Although that's what I said. But I still sent a message to Mike. Did you order today's lunch? Thanks. You're welcome, this is a place I often eat at, very clean. How much? I'll transfer it to you. No need, as long as you liked it. I looked up the price online and sent the other party a red packet. But the other party still hadn't accepted it. The appraisal would take 5 working days to produce results. During this time, Timmy insisted on staying at my house and wouldn't leave. I figured the truth would come out in a few days. Anyway, and Timmy was indeed charming, so I didn't make things difficult for the child. It was just Johnny, who, under the guise of fulfilling his fatherly duties, kept dropping by every now and then. That evening, Johnny insisted on helping Timmy bathe. When the man came out of the bathroom, he was bare-chested, with only a white towel wrapped around his waist. Having exercised for years, Johnny had a firm physique. I jumped in surprise and hastily averted my gaze. What are you doing? He looked innocent, helping Timmy bathe. He's bathing, why are you taking off your clothes? He got my clothes wet. Inside, Timmy protested, liar, Dad did it himself. Johnny tisked and scolded, you're all talk. I narrowed my eyes. Johnny, what exactly do you want? You weren't like this before. Hearing this, Johnny gave a bitter smile. Yes, before I was indeed conservative, and my wife ran off. That day, Johnny went back without waiting for me to kick him out. Timmy lay beside me, eyes wide, and suddenly asked, Mom, actually you don't believe what Timmy said, do you? The direct question left me speechless for a moment. The child grinned, I heard you and Dad talking that day. You're taking me to get the appraisal results tomorrow. If it turns out Timmy isn't Mom's child, will I not be able to live here anymore? This question made my throat feel dry. It's okay, Mom. I just want to tell you that Timmy isn't a bad child, and I didn't lie to you. If Mom doesn't like Dad now, then don't be with him. Timmy hopes Mom can always be happy. After speaking, the child cupped my face with both hands, his deep brown eyes fixed intently on me, his expression focused. As if to engrave me in his memory. After a long time, he let go, I love Mom very much, and I'm very happy with you. Mom, good night. Then the child fell asleep. But I tossed and turned, unable to sleep at all. The child's words made the puzzle in my heart grow larger. I had a hunch that perhaps things weren't as simple as I thought, and with no one to confide in, I finally called Kathy. You say, could there be some misunderstanding in this? What misunderstanding could there be? You've just been conned. Tomorrow I'll go with you and have a word with these champion liars. The next day, when I took Timmy to the entrance of the identification center as agreed. Before we even entered, the child beside me suddenly gasped in surprise. Before I could react, he let go of my hand and ran towards my best friend who was walking over from the opposite direction, crying, Mommy? I was stunned. Johnny was stunned. Even my best friend was stunned. She looked at me and asked, Is this the child you were talking about? Is there something wrong with him? Why does he call everyone Mom? Things got a little out of control after that. Timmy was crying profusely, clutching Kathy's leg, his voice hoarse. And our paternity test result was no different from what I had guessed. Neither Johnny nor I were his biological parents. The matter should have ended there, but Timmy refused to let go. The usually sensible child suddenly broke down, and we were all at a loss. Finally, a staff member couldn't bear to watch any longer and said, The child says this lady is his mother. Since everyone is here anyway, why don't I perform another test for you? Johnny pursed his lips, his expression more serious than ever. Thank you for your trouble, let's do an expedited test. Alright, results in 2 hours. Wait a minute. 2 hours is all it takes? Then what was the point of me waiting 5 days? Johnny let out a light cough and explained, expedited tests cost extra, and our situation back then didn't require it. Heh. Oh, so unnecessary. When the results came out, Timmy's emotions had already stabilized. But he still huddled in Kathy's arms, refusing to leave. My best friend glanced at the test report and said, parental probability, RCP, greater than 99%. What does that mean? The staff member smiled and said, it means you are his biological mother. Kathy was devastated. Impossible. How could I not know if I gave birth or not? Johnny, are you still holding a grudge against me for having Jenny lie to you back then, saying I was pregnant and broke up with you, and now you're deliberately messing with me? Johnny narrowed his eyes and said, so, the betrayal, the pregnancy, and not liking me, all of it was false, and it was your idea? Oh, you didn't know? Johnny's face turned completely grim, and with a sneer, he pulled out his phone and made a call. Bro, I found your future wife, hurry up and come take her away. All the information was also pieced together from Timmy's fragmented and intermittent narrative. The little one had indeed traveled through time from 5 years ago. But he wasn't Johnny's and my son. Instead, he was the son of his older brother, Peter, and my best friend, Kathy. Johnny pinched the bridge of his nose. I also happened to meet Timmy 2 weeks ago. He said that after his parents died in a shipwreck back then, he had been living with me. Later, when Selena and I got married, we formally adopted him for convenience of schooling, so we are his uncle and aunt, and also, in a sense, his parents. My brother has been at sea all this time, and he just came back today. We'll talk about the specifics when he arrives. Throughout the process, Kathy remained silent, completely immersed in the shock of accompanying my best friend for a paternity test and finding out I'm the child's mother. It took her a while to react. So you mean, I married a first mate who's never home and whose job is dangerous? How is that possible? I'm not some lovesick fool, how could I marry someone like that? A few minutes later, the coffee shop door was pushed open. A tough man in a blue nautical uniform and sunglasses walked in. Kathy suddenly gasped, squeezed my hand tightly, and whispered, I have to admit, my voice was a bit loud just now. Is this man my future husband? Oh my God, how can he be so handsome? Timmy's biological parents had all arrived. There was no need for Johnny and me, his adoptive parents, to stay. After a brief chat, Johnny and I left, giving them time to be alone. On the way, my phone vibrated frantically. It was all messages from Kathy. Thinking something was wrong, I quietly opened a voice message. The next second, Kathy's loud voice boomed directly through the car speakers. Johnny's brother is actually a bass voice. Overflowing with hormones, completely different from Johnny, that cold fish. I was utterly embarrassed, having completely forgotten that when I had Timmy in the car before, the child had connected my phone's Bluetooth to listen to nursery rhymes. It was too late to disconnect. Johnny glanced at me. So you broke up with me because of this? My face flushed crimson. I wanted to deny it, but it seemed it was exactly because of that. Johnny pulled the car over to the side of the road. Joanna, I feel like we have quite a deep misunderstanding. He looked at me, I thought, restraint was respect. But it's a fact that you don't want to touch me, you're not interested in me, and it's always me who makes the first move. I was just afraid of scaring you, not wanting to seem like such an animal. I didn't say a word. You don't believe me? Johnny closed his eyes and let out a breath. Can I prove it now? He had quite a beautiful fantasy. I reminded him, if it's not boyfriend and girlfriend doing random proving, then it's animalistic. That night, I lay in bed, unable to sleep. The series of events was so surreal it was beyond my imagination. Suddenly, the phone beside me rang twice. Not asleep yet? How do you know? I'm downstairs, saw your light was still on. I took a breath, and slightly parted the curtains. Outside, sure enough, a car was still parked. The phone rang. It was Johnny. I answered, but he didn't speak. Only faint breathing could be heard through the receiver. On this particular night, it felt especially fervent. After a long pause, Johnny finally spoke. Peter is 5 years older than me. I was raised by him when I was little. Back then, we weren't well off. He went out to sea with others to earn money when he was very young, and I was home alone. I'm not good at getting along with people, and I never thought about building a family with anyone. So when you appeared, for a while, I was quite lost. The year we graduated, you lied about being pregnant to break up with me, and I truly hated you for it. I hated that you were the one who clearly entered my world, yet after I fell for you, you dumped me without a second thought. It was then that I realized this feeling I had for you was called liking. I intentionally applied for a transfer to your company, perhaps still unwilling to let it end like that. Timmy's appearance was unexpected, but it only sped up my pursuit of you. I've been thinking lately, I didn't cherish you in the past, and I owe you an apology. My hand gripping the phone suddenly tightened. My throat felt choked, and I couldn't speak. Before I could reply, I heard him continue, "Actually, I'm not telling you all this for any particular reason, I just want to tell you, I'll wait for you to break up." This time, it was my turn to be baffled. Huh? Break up with whom? Who wants to break up? Break up from what? After Timmy left, my life had returned to normal. The only difference was that my eldest cousin was still diligently ordering takeout for me. Soon, the whole company knew I was Mike's woman. I subtly told Mike that it wasn't necessary, but the boy agreed every time, yet continued as before the next day. Later, even the security guard would see me and ask with a smile, "I heard your boyfriend's name is Mike." I really couldn't take it anymore. I called my best friend. She was also bewildered. "I've been busy with the baby lately, haven't contacted him at all. Let me ask him." A few minutes later, my best friend called me back. "I just contacted him. That kid asked if he could pursue you. Even though my eldest cousin isn't the sharpest tool in the shed, he's handsome, has a good physique, and most importantly, he's young. It'd be a fool's errand not to take advantage of a good deal. Why don't you give it a try with him? Is this really my biological sister?" Later, I still called my eldest cousin. I clearly explained to him that I had no plans for a relationship at the moment. On the other end, my eldest cousin was full of regret. "I really think you're great. Why don't you give it a try? If it doesn't work out, then break up. Relationships are all about trying things out anyway." I immediately refused. Forget it, forget it. "All right then, I just took on a short drama, so when I'm done filming, I'll treat you to a meal, okay? Let me treat you, thank you for all the lunches during this time." My cousin was also easygoing, immediately laughing, "Sure, but that restaurant is owned by my dad, so it didn't cost anything, ha 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 ha." No wonder. But I also didn't expect it. A few days later, I received a call from Kathy, saying my cousin got into a fight and asking me to go to the police station to check on him. Hurrying to the scene, I saw my cousin sitting in a chair with his legs crossed, his cheeks slightly swollen and red. Next to him sat a gloomy-faced man, who turned out to be Johnny. I was surprised, walking up to Johnny. "It couldn't have been you who did it, could it?" "It was me." "Why?" "He kissed another woman." "So what?" "So, what?" Johnny was incredulous. "You can tolerate that? Joanna, where's the energy you had when you dumped me?" I was baffled. "He's acting, isn't it normal to kiss the female lead? Besides, he's single, so what if he kisses other women?" "But wait, he's single?" I couldn't be bothered with him, rolling my eyes and walking over to my cousin to check on him. Fortunately, it was just a superficial injury. Johnny finally paid some medical expenses and that was the end of it. After leaving the police station, Johnny remained silent. My cousin pulled me aside and whispered, "I intentionally didn't tell him it was a scene. Do you like him? He's trying to steal my woman, I definitely need him to pay up. Then I'll transfer the compensation to you, and you can treat me to a meal, and we'll spend the money together." Now I really regret not agreeing with my cousin. What a perceptive person. Originally, I was supposed to go to Kathy's house tonight to see Timmy. She's now living with Peter. Their relationship is warming up rapidly. After Johnny found out, he insisted on coming with me. In the car, the man saw I wasn't speaking and didn't dare to make a sound either. After a moment, Johnny suddenly whimpered softly, still covering his face, hiss. "That guy just now seems to have cut my lip, it hurts so much." "Serves you right." Johnny choked. He looked wronged, and surprisingly, a little like Timmy. Entering the residential area, Johnny got out of the car with me, following behind me like a big dog. I sighed inwardly, unable to be truly firm. I snapped, "Come here and let me see." Johnny immediately walked over, bending slightly to get closer to me. "The corner of your mouth doesn't seem to be broken." Before I could finish speaking, Johnny suddenly leaned in and kissed my lips. In an instant, all my words were swallowed. I instinctively closed my eyes and accepted the kiss. Just as it was about to deepen, a child's voice came from below, "Uncle and Auntie, have you two made up?" A shiver ran through me, and I turned my head to meet Kathy's gaze, full of gossip. She covered Timmy's eyes with one hand and said, "See no evil, not suitable for children. You're not allowed to look." Then she grinned at me, "You two carry on, don't mind us." Half a year later, Kathy got married, and little Timmy served as the ring bearer. The child wore a three-piece suit, dressed very similarly to how he looked when I first met him. Perhaps it was because he was back with his real parents, but I always felt that the caution in Timmy's eyes had greatly diminished, replaced by a playfulness and liveliness appropriate for his age. While standing at the entrance helping to welcome guests, Kathy asked me, "I'm married, when will it be your turn?" Johnny had been pursuing me during this time, but I had never relented and agreed. I still wanted to enjoy the process of being pursued for a bit longer. I jokingly asked Kathy, "If I don't agree to Johnny, will you break up with me?" Kathy immediately widened her eyes. "How could that be? If you agree, we're relatives. If you don't agree, we're best girlfriends, and we'll be together for life." I smiled and hugged her. "Happy wedding." Kathy's eyes welled up, and she replied, "Thank you, from past to future, from then to now." That evening, Johnny drove me home. Perhaps I was too tired from the day, and I fell into a daze and slept in the car. In my dream, I appeared next to a slide, anxiously calling out Timmy. I immediately realized that this seemed to be me from a parallel timeline, 5 years in the future. In her anxiety, that me suddenly found an instant photo in the pocket of her coat. I looked at it, and it was actually a photo from Kathy's wedding. On it, the 4-year-old child stood in the center, flanked by Peter in a sharp suit and Kathy in a white gown. The family of 3 smiled happily at the camera. Below, there was writing in the child's naive handwriting, "Mommy, Timmy has found his mommy and daddy. Don't worry about me." I woke up with a start, only to realize the car had already stopped downstairs at my place. Johnny's jacket was still draped over me. "I think I just dreamt about Timmy. Do you think this time, they'll be happy forever?" Johnny leaned in and kissed my lips, "Definitely."